Oh, I always love when we come in from a break and just find out the guest isn't ready. It's so fun and spicy. Well, what I had planned to say when I had thought that I had a guest lined up, the visiting Toronto Blue Jays gave up 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning and dropped an 8-3 decision to the Angels in the opener of a 3-game series at Angels Stadium in Anaheim. But not 20 seconds ago, I just found out that Mike Wilner's not ready. Here, what I wanted to talk to Mike about was Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman homering for the Dodgers, who lost for just the second time in the last 10 games. 5-4-10 to the Marlins. And we were there. So now, folks, what would you like to talk about? Because what are the chances, Clark? What are the chances of Mike Wilner joining us? Should we flip right back to hockey, or should I? Okay. He's just a little late getting to us. That's what it is. So I won't go too far down the hockey road other than to say 902-518-3033 is the text line to reach us here. And I'm not even going to bring up Bob from Saskatoon, the person you just mentioned, because it will trigger Mike Wilner. I don't want him even going down that road. Okay, good to go. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's bring in Mike Wilner. So it worked good. Thank you, Clark. Good job. Before we talk about the Blue Jays blowing that one last night out in Anaheim, hey, Mike, whenever I see you are on the docket, it always makes me happy, by the way, because I love talking baseball with you. But I saw Shohei last night for the first time. Have we had this, live? Have we had this discussion? Is he the greatest ever? Are you on that train, or where are you on Shohei in history?
Yeah. I think we've had this discussion, and I think he is. I mean, nobody's ever been able to do the things that he does. He hasn't started pitching yet this year, but once he does, he becomes, the team's top 3 hitter and top 3 pitcher. Nobody's ever done that before, ever in the history of anything. So, we don't know how long he's going to be able to keep pitching, but for the period of time in which he does it, he's doing something incredibly, like, there's nobody who's even been an average pitcher and a really good hitter, or a really good pitcher and an average hitter over the course of a full season. It's ridiculous. It's historical. It's unprecedented. Absolutely, he's the best ever.
Oh, well, thank you for that, because I feel that way, but there's always going to be some dissenters. And by the way, I think Dave Roberts has earned the right to not be questioned, but last night I was with my friend Chris from the Bronx. He was a baseball coach in New York, and he wondered why Shohei was batting leadoff for the Dodgers, which I think he has all along since he's been there, no?
It had been Betts, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman through last year. Look, I don't think anyone's earned the right not to be questioned, but I think that there are people who you sort of have to take their word for it more often than not. But everybody thinks they can be a baseball manager. Everyone. So, managers are always going to be questioned, no matter how good, how bad, whatever. With Mookie Betts coming back from this illness and not being himself until pretty recently, I love having your best hitter right up front. Let's go. When the Blue Jays were great in 2015 and 2016, Jose Bautista let off a lot because he got on base and he hit home runs, and he was the guy who was first up when that lineup turned over. Why wait? And they had the luxury of having Josh Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion being able to hit 2-3. So that helps for sure. And when you're not quite that deep, and the Dodgers are very much that deep, when you're not quite that deep, you can't necessarily afford to do that. But if you are, why not?
Okay, well, here's the thing. You say everybody wants to be a manager or thinks they can be a manager. Everybody thinks they can be a broadcaster or a podcaster. Did you know that, Mike? Everybody thinks they can. And, well, everybody is, it feels like. But
everybody
with my friend,
actually can be a podcaster.
Right. If you got a cell phone. But my guy, Chris, last night, he wanted to coach. I just want to go to the game and have Cracker Jacks and peanuts. I just want to be entertained. It's just a different way that we look at things. But having said that, you saw that the Marlins-Dodgers matchup was the greatest disparity in payroll in MLB history. Does that come up much in your circles? People think it's just so not fair. How do you feel about where baseball's going that way?
It's not fair. But what's not fair about it is that the Marlins owner chooses not to spend money on payroll, and the Pirates owner chooses not to spend money on payroll, and the Orioles owner chooses not to spend money on payroll, and the Rays owner chooses not to spend money on. All these people are billionaires. All of them. They can all afford to do exactly what the LA Dodgers are doing. And yes, the Dodgers have more money coming in and more revenue streams, so they're going to make money no matter how much they spend on player payroll. And these other teams might not make as much money, and they have to figure out what's more important to them. Is it putting a winning product on the field, trying to win, or making as much money as they possibly can? Every single team is capable of doing what the Los Angeles Dodgers are doing. They're whining about it because they don't want to, and somehow they've convinced their fans that they can't. And I don't understand why so many fans are willing to take the side of billionaire owners over millionaire players, but they do appear to be. Yeah. And it's wrong. Look, it's wrong. Nobody's ever gone bankrupt running a baseball team. All the franchise values are through the roof for every team.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Royals are being sold for well over $1 billion. Yeah, every team could be doing what the LA Dodgers are doing if they only wanted to do it.
Well, and look, I'm a Cowboys fan, so we see it. Do you want to make money or do you want to win? They want to make money, clearly. You hear that with the Leafs. And the caveat to that is if you win, you'll make more money than ever. But they haven't quite figured that out. Now, last night in Lone Depot Park, there were more Dodgers fans there than Marlins fans, which I know usually annoys home teams of any sport. All your years in the Blue Jays booth, because I was listening to you guys, I wasn't necessarily watching. Was there a team that came in that outnumbered the Jays fans ever in your history?
Sure. Yankees and Red Sox all the time in the first decade of this century. All the time. When the Blue Jays were mediocre to poor, I started my first year in the booth was 2002. So between 2002 and 2014, for those 13 years, although there was a lot of hype in 13 when, they made those two big trades in the offseason, they were the Vegas favorites to win the World Series and they finished in last place. But yeah, when the Jays were drawing 11, 12, 13,000 people a night during weekdays, 25s on the weekends, when the Yankees and Red Sox were in town, especially during the summer when school was out, their fans would flood the place. And it was never as bad as like Tropicana Field for a Yankee game or Seattle for a Blue Jays game, which I hope does not happen this weekend. But it was pretty bad for sure.
Ted in Red Deer, he's a great guy. He asks a lot of questions, but they're ambiguous. He says, "Hey, Mike, where would you rank Vladdy? Top 10? What are we talking in the majors now? All-time Blue Jays? How would you take that question? Where would you rank Vladdy?"
I don't know what that means.
Me either.
Where would relative to what? Is he a top 10 first baseman in the majors right now? Sure. Is he one of the 10 best hitters in the majors right now? He could be, but right now he's not. Is he one of the 10 best Blue Jays ever? Maybe, probably not yet. But he's still got 14 years to go, and by the time he's done, he will be the best ever. I don't have any question about that. He's going to be number one in every offensive category in Blue Jays history by the time he's done, except for triples and stolen bases.
Well, what is it, 14 years? Does he live out that contract in Toronto? Honestly, you see that happening? Hard to predict, I know, but
maybe not. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he ever plays for anybody else, but I don't know that he finishes. That he's playing when he's 40. in 2039. I don't know that he's still playing, and it's not like a personal services contract by then. But the 14 years isn't the point. The next 8 are the point. When he's in his prime and he's 27 to 34, being awesome and hitting a bunch of home runs and being one of the best hitters in the game. That's the point of this deal. And sometimes you got to push in order to make that happen, and they should have, and they did.
I was going to ask you where you stand on the deal. You're a fan of it?
Oh, I anyone who read my work or listened to the podcast for like the 3 months preceding the deal, or even in, I think, last August, I wrote a column that said, "Give the man his money right now." So yeah, absolutely, I'm a fan of it.
Rich in Edmonton writes in about the Blue Jays. He says, will attendance become an issue after Canada Day if this team continues to slide down the standings? And if that happens, will ownership be forced into front office moves?
I don't know why you picked Canada Day, but I would hope that it would happen before that if the team continues on its current pace, where they're last in the major leagues in home runs and one of the lowest run scoring teams in the league, and now the bullpen's faltering because these guys have been used so often in the first month and change, because there's never been any breathing room in any games because the offense has been so bad. I would expect people to stop showing up. I think they should. I think that's how you send a message to ownership. Stop watching games, get those ratings down, and stop showing up at the ballpark. And then maybe Ed Rogers will wake up and they were riding kind of a high after the Vladdy signing, and everybody was feeling good. And then they started the season 12-8, and that was terrific, and everyone was feeling great about those things. But if they can't pull out of the disaster that the last 2 weeks have been, I think in their last 14 games, they've had the lead going into the 7th inning once, and that's abominable. So if they can't pull out of this, then people should bail and try to force a change in the front office. And I think the only way that happens is if Edward Rogers sees attendance and viewership dropping.
An addendum to Rich's comment. He says, post-Canada Day is the get serious portion of the schedule. I'm just looking at this from 35,000 feet. The fact that they signed Vladdy, and obviously Mr. Rogers was behind writing the check, did that not buy Shapiro and Atkins some time? Because everybody wanted that, regardless of the one-loss record, or no? That's what everybody wanted, and they did.
No. I don't think so. I think, first of all, I don't think post-Canada Day is when you get serious about the season. I think it's post-Victoria Day is when you get serious and have to fix what you're dealing with. But no, it's very clear that Mark Shapiro didn't want to sign this contract. That it took Edward stepping in and saying, "Hey, get this done," for this thing to get done. So I don't know why that would buy them any extra goodwill or any time or anything like that. Should be less.
Because I don't know the inside. Yeah, I'm just looking at it from the outside. I don't know the inside of it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? If they had wanted to get it done, if Shapiro and Atkins had wanted to get it done, it would have been done a long time ago, and it should have been done a long time ago, and it would have saved Ed Rogers a couple $100 million.
It certainly looks that way. I always try to err on the positive side, Hey, let me ask you this, Mike. You're a Toronto guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Beyond the Blue Jays, is there anybody else that you follow passionately, or are you Jays or nothing? Because there are people like that.
I mean, I used to, but then when you get on the baseball beat, and especially when you're in kind of a prominent position on the baseball beat, and you see how baseball is treated relative to the other sports, it kind of knocks that fan out of you. For a lot of years, I was pushing to get a Blue Jays story on the air to get the Jays noticed. And, but if the Leafs fourth liner blew his nose, then that was going to be the lead story. So that sort of knocked the Leaf fandom out of me. But as a kid, absolutely. When I was 9 years old and, went down to the Gardens and got like Mike Palmateer's autograph and Rocky Saganuk and guys like that. And look, the Leafs getting into the second round and winning a game to get things started. I'm thrilled for them, and it's going to be fantastic if they ever win the cup. Something that hasn't happened in my lifetime, but I'm not someone who's going to sit down and watch game 57 of the NHL season or anything like that.
Yeah, I appreciate the answer. Mike, obviously, love chatting with you. Go Jays. I'm not sure if you would say that, but I will. And I look forward to when we chat again.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks for having me, Rod.
Mike Wilner from the Deep Left Field podcast, Toronto Star columnist. And the thing is, I completely understand what he's saying. I want to say this before we break. I was such a baseball fan growing up, but then when I became the voice of the Rough Riders for 20 seasons and doing Regina Pat's play-by-play too, you don't have time in your life for anything else. Nothing else. Something had to go, and it was baseball. And that's why I'm so hesitant to get back into it now, because it's so much fun doing all of this. It's not to say I wouldn't do it again, but this is very refreshing. Do you want to give up your life to something? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. For now, this is what I like. We'll be back in a moment. Sports update, and then you and me, the rest of the way, viewer takeover. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.